Let's go straight to far north Queensland tonight, where tourism has been hit particularly hard, of course. We're joined by two tourism operators, Alan Wallish and Andrea Cameron, who are standing by in Cairns tonight. Guys, thanks so much for joining us on the program. Big announcement today from the federal government for your sector. I know that you're happy with some of the news, but you've really been impacted pretty heavily by the loss of the international market. Andrea, how's your business coping? How much have you lost? How many staff have you had to let go?
Look, my business, obviously like everyone else's, has been absolutely decimated. Normally I'd be running 42 tours a week. Now I'm down to 6 a week if I'm lucky. I've only got one staff member left. I've had to let everyone else go. So although today's announcement has been encouraging, it's still not going to be enough.
And Alan, I think you've currently got 18 staff on JobKeeper. You had 34 staff pre-COVID. What happens to those 18 staff that are on JobKeeper when it ends? As things stand, can you keep them going?
Well, we will. I mean, I need those 18 staff to actually run the business. They're my key staff. Been with me now for, some of them have been with me for 15 years, so I'm not letting them go anywhere. Yeah, obviously the end of JobKeeper is certainly a financial hit, and we're hoping that there's the announcement today with the vouchers, people wanting to come up to Cairns so that we can look after you, show you a great holiday, and the interest-free loans will just help us get through a few more months while things start to sort themselves out, I guess. So
I'm just interested in that line about a few more months. Obviously, there's some forecasts that it could be a year, more than that, before we see the international market come back. Can you see a way through to the other side of this currently, notwithstanding the announcements today?
Yeah, look, this is the thing that everybody needs to realise, is that we're probably 12, 18 months, 24 months away from getting any sizable international tourism anywhere in Australia, and particularly up here where tourism was really 70% of our market. When people plan holidays overseas, they don't just travel the following Monday. You know, they put 6 months into it, 12 months, etc. So we really need a strong Australian market to get behind travelling in Australia, particularly coming to areas like here, Cairns, where we can show you a fantastic holiday, and support our small operators so that we can get through this really amazing time that we find ourselves in.
So, Alan, what's your question for the panel tonight, for the government particularly?
My question to the panel would be, we were reaching a cliff at the end of March. We're pretty much there now. These incentives are certainly helpful, but we're going to hit another cliff come September. So do we have some concrete plans as we go forward until the international market can find its way back into Australia?
Zed.
Well, thank you very much, Alan and Andrea, for the question. And I had the great opportunity to visit Cairns just a week or so ago and met with a number of the businesses there. And it's fair to say we understand, and I know Dan Tehan and the Treasurer and others have been going to places like Cairns and hearing from businesses who are doing it tough. And one of the things, I guess, as we've been grappling with the great challenge of the COVID crisis, both the health crisis and then the economic crisis, has been we've always sought to have very, very strong levels of support, targeted support, and obviously you're aware of things like JobKeeper and JobSeeker and a range of supports for small business cash flow that have been in the economy and have seen large chunks of the economy starting to really come back, and there's been some really, really positive signs in the last few months, but we're very aware of the great challenges that are in some of our particular regions, and Cairns, of course, is one of those regions that does rely on international tourism, that even when we look at domestic tourism, of course, is a flying destination. And that was one of the strong messages I got when I was in Cairns.
So just to be clear, though, given all the fanfare today, the ministers standing in front of aeroplanes, all the noise, you understand that for these businesses, this is not certainty. I mean, if they're down to 20% of their operating capacity currently, these cheap flights and some of the loans, it's not necessarily going to see them through, is it?
Well, let me go through the measures, because I think that there's a lot in this, and one of the very strong messages we were receiving, not just in Cairns, but in other tourism-dependent areas was the need to get people flying to those areas again, because when you get them on those planes, and let's face it, if you're going to go to Alice or you're going to go to Broome or you're going to go to Cairns and such places, most people are going to need to fly in order to get there. So by halving the cost of getting there, we will provide a lot of impetus for Australians to be travelling. Remember, these have suffered because...
So you do think it's enough?
Well, I'm not going to say it's enough. I'm going to say that it is a very substantial package, along with the support for the aviation industry, along with the extension of the small and medium enterprise loan scheme, and all of the other supports we've been putting into the economy. And what we've said all the way through, Hamish, is that we, and I think we've had a good record of this, we will do what is needed and we will adjust to circumstances as they go forward. So I think we will see a lot of Australians taking advantage of this. There are a lot of other factors that will go. There are a lot of other factors that will go to the success of it, because people need to have that confidence. So as we see vaccine rollouts,
we are going to get to that,
sure,
Kristina.
But that the borders won't close is another important factor as well.
Look, Hamish, let's be clear. We welcome any support, but what was announced today is too little and it's too late. You know, for tourism operators like Andrea and Alan, they've been suffering for months, and JobKeeper has been sustaining them. And I hope people do take up the cheap flights, but the fact of the matter is it's unevenly distributed. You know, it's lucky if you're in one of the locations that gets the cheap flights. What if you're a tourism operator in an area that doesn't? What if you're one of the 1 million Australians who's currently on JobKeeper? Come the end of March, these 1 million of our fellow Australians are going to be left behind by the Morrison government.
And I think the other aspect is what is the impact in terms of all of Australia? What is the benefit to all Australians, and how much is the government sharing with us who is actually going to benefit? Perhaps there are lots of women who have shared the disproportionate load of childcare who need a holiday and would like to take that up because of the extra effort that they've had during COVID. But there's also a reference to Australians taking this up. The 30,000 Australians overseas who are not able to even get into the country are not going to be able to take this up.
Gareth Parker, you're in Western Australia. I think there's one location amongst those included in these cheap flights by the federal government. And for many Australians, getting to WA just isn't really even possible currently. How do you look at it from where you sit?
Well, the one location you speak of is Broome in the Kimberley, and it's a beautiful place, but at the moment it's sort of full because West Australians are holidaying there because they can't go overseas, and I don't think that there's the confidence to travel outside of the state because you're never quite sure when a border might be closed or when the rules might be changed and forcing them into quarantine. So I think that's actually the biggest issue. Like, Australians want to go on a holiday. I'm convinced about that. I would love to go on a holiday. I haven't got on a plane since November 2019, and it's hard to see when the next time I will because of that confidence issue. So we need to get some national consistency around when a border will be closed, when quarantine rules will be changed. And I know that the hard border's been super popular here in WA, but I think the time to move beyond that is pretty much arrived. And for the tourism operators, right, they are affected in really different ways. If you're running accommodation in Western Australia in the southwest, 2 hours drive from Perth, you're really, really busy because you've got a captive market. But if you're running a tour like Andrea is, then you're really reliant on people coming from overseas because locals don't tend to go on tours. So the impacts are really different depending on the type of tourism business that you operate. And what you really need is the movement of people to come back.